Hi, everybody. Guess what? Roses are red, violets are blue. I love poems. How about you? Well, today I am going to talk about the genre of poetry. Now, these poems are found all over in our library in different sections. Some of them are books written in prose. One of them is even a biography. So I'm going to share with you some books that I have book trailers for, and then I'm going to share with you some extras. So first, I heard that you were all in sixth grade that you are reading "Spinning Through the Universe," written by Helen Frost, our very own uh, Fort Wayne native. And this is another one of her books called Hidden. It's about a girl whose she and her mom have stopped at the store, and her mom runs in to get something. And while she's in there, the gas station is robbed. She's going to pay in for some gas. The gas station is robbed, and the robber ends up getting in the car with this girl, and she has to hide after she hears gunshots. And he drives off with the girl, and you have to find out what happened. It's realistic. So this is by Helen Frost. We have lots more of her books here, multiple copies. So if you would like to check those out, Hidden is the name of the book. Next, I've already talked about this book once, but you didn't know that it was written in prose. This is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. He writes lots of poetry. Now, Long Way Down is about a boy who has lost his brother, and he is going to seek revenge to shoot the guys that shot him, his brother, and killed him. Well, this story or this poem takes place on uh, an elevator while he is going down the elevator to go out and do what he said he's going to do to those people that hurt his brother. Well, by the time he gets to the bottom, will he still want to go seek revenge, or will the people that he thinks of while going down this elevator, will they talk him out of it? It doesn't take long at all to read this book, and it is just so heartfelt. I love it. So, Long Way Down. Next, Shakespeare Makes the Playoffs. I thought I had the book. Guess what? It's lost, so I had to print out the cover, but we can get it for you at another school. If you love baseball, if you love uh, stories about high school, this book written in prose is for you. So, kind of a love story romance plus baseball plus going to high school. Next, this is Rebound by Kwame Alexander. I think he might be my favorite poet. He's Every time I've seen him on television or watch him in a video, he is maybe one of the happiest people I've ever seen. Rebound is of course, the story of a basketball player. He Kwame also wrote the book Crossed, which is another poem. Poetry and rap music go hand in hand. They're basically they're cousins. That's how you explain it. But if you liked crossover, you'll love Rebound by Kwame Alexander. Now, this is You Don't Even Know Me by Sharon G. Flake. She writes some of the best stories. One of my favorites is called Funny Money. Anyway, this is a book of poetry about boys. And it's a book about how they're like when they get to middle school, they start to be misunderstood by other boys, by girls, by their teachers, by their parents. And this book of poetry is tells what boys are really feeling. Basically, yeah. So, Sharon G. Flake, You Don't Even Know Me. Our book is again lost, but there's plenty of copies in the FWCS all around the district. So, if you'd like to read this, let me know. Now, finally, this is Poet X. So excited about this book of poetry because I love this girl, the author's story. Now, Poet X is the story of a girl who writes poetry in a journal. Okay. Now, the author of the book, Elizabeth, and I can't even pronounce her last name, is a Latino girl who lives in Harlem. The author, plus Poet X is as well. Anyway, she started writing poems in her journal, and then she started teaching English, and she decided that she would read some of her poetry to her English classes, high school English classes that she was teaching. Well, she discovered she really loved writing poetry, and some of those very first journal entries that she had made, those poems, are in this book. And now it's a best-selling book. She's fabulous, y'all. I loved this book. Um, so if you want something that is like she keeps it real, then read The Poet X. She never in the book, the girl in the book never signs her name. She just writes The Poet X and puts all these poems up. You've got to read it. So there you go. Now, lastly, I forgot about this. This is an actual biography by Jacqueline Woodson. It's called Brown Girl Dreaming. It has won tons of awards. And you're going to see a book trailer where Alicia Keys is quoting part of this book. It's amazing. She's one of my favorite authors anyway. So try out Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. Now, here's some extras that I'm just throwing in. 8th grade. If there's time, you'll be reading Keisha's House. Now, listen, y'all. Keisha's House is a great story, and it is about more than one teenager that have made some poor choices and or had some things happen to them, and it is actually their stories, but it's written in poetry. 8th grade does this every year. I don't know if they'll have time this year or not, but check it out. You'll love it. Jason Reynolds wrote this poetry book called For Everyone. It's about being courageous, being yourself, striving to do your best, uh, what to do when you get down on yourself. This is a very inspirational book of poetry by Jason Reynolds for everyone. I like this poetry book. This is called Light Filters in Poems. It starts out, it's a poetry book that starts out dark and how the darkness takes over us, but then it it's almost like the dawn rising and how the light makes everything better. So it starts out dark and goes to where there's hope. I loved reading this. And lastly, have you ever heard of concrete poems? I bet you've seen them before. This book is called, technically, It's Not My Fault. It's a book of concrete poems, literally concrete. So, concrete poems are poems that are quite literal, like the thank you letter that's written in the shape of a letter. The step poem. And what's another one? All kinds of stuff. I love this one. This one wouldn't take 2 seconds to read. Look at this one. Tombstone poems. So we have just about any kind of poetry that you can think of here. Now, when you go into Destiny to look up stuff, just type in poetry, hit enter, and it's going to give you all of our poetry books. Check them out. You might actually like reading some of them. All right, guys. Uh, Catch you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile.